next theorem that we are about to see is bounded convergence theorem. Okay, here if you see, we are given a sequence of measurable functions. Okay, that means we have a sequence of functions. Each of the entries in the sequence are measurable functions, which are defined on the set E, and the set E has a finite measure, which means what? Measure of E is some finite quantity, right? And suppose that there is a real number as m such that this thing is happening, which means here the interpretation is the entries of a sequence. Okay, that is the sequence that is given to us. All the entries of the sequence are bounded. So in simpler terms, we have a bounded sequence. Sorry, sequence of bounded and also measurable, right? So we are given a sequence of bounded measurable functions. Okay, this is there. And what should we prove? We take a limit of this sequence to be equal to f of x for each x in E. Then we'll have to prove this thing is happening, right? So how are we going to prove that? So this is a quite tricky one. Here you are given that. Okay, so this is for simplicity purpose I am doing it. So you are given that fn of x converges to f of x for all x in E, but there is no guarantee that this convergence is uniform or non-uniform. Okay, so this convergence may be uniform or non-uniform. So what happens when this is uniform and what happens when this is non-uniform? This is the thing that we'll have to discuss. Okay, so first of all, we are given the informations that fn is a sequence of measurable functions on the set E. Okay, with measure of E, which is a finite quantity, right? There exists m such that absolute of fn of x is smaller than or equals m for all n and for all x in E. Okay, and suppose limit fn of x is f of x. So with which can we interpret something? Yes, of course. Since fn, all these fn's are measurable, f of x is also measurable. Here we have not made use of the property, or we have not made a discussion whether a function, whether the convergence is uniform or non-uniform. Without even examining that, we come to a conclusion that f of x is a measurable functions, because we have seen a proposition already in which it is proved, right? So these things we have. Okay, so the proof here, the proof is trivial if the convergence is uniform. Okay, this one we have proved with the help of Riemann integration itself. When it is true for Riemann integration, that shall be extended to the Lebesgue integration as well for this case. That is when the convergence is uniform. What about when the convergence is non-uniform? That is a special case that is unproven in the case of Riemann integration, right? So while you people have studied about Riemann integration and these results related to the sequence of functions, you might some of your professors might have told you that for in order to prove this results hold for non-uniform, that is the pointwise convergence. When there is a pointwise convergence, then also it holds. In order to prove that, we need a stronger integration value than the Riemann integration, and that is provided by the Lebesgue one. Okay, so here in order to prove this, what are we going to do? So here we use Littlewood's third principle, which states, so the statement, let me write it in different color, which states if Fn is, if Fn converges to F pointwise, then the sequence Fn is nearly uniform convergent to F. This is what the Littlewood's third principle tells us, right? Here we are using the term nearly uniform convergent, right? So this nearly uniform convergent is used in the old textbooks. Since the textbook that we are following is a quite older one, we are using the terminology. Now this terminology, remember guys, the things that I am writing in green color is for your understanding purpose. That is not a part of any proof, right? So nearly uniform convergent is now called as almost uniform convergent. Okay, either you can call it as nearly uniform convergent or almost uniform convergent. Nowadays people mostly use the terminology almost uniform convergent. Okay, what does this mean? This means, suppose if you have to talk about the convergence of some sequence of function in a particular set. Okay, let me call that as okay in okay, here we are talking in E, right? So suppose you have a sequence which is defined on E and Fn converges to F except at some points of E. Okay, so I collect these some points inside the set E delta. Okay, this is the collection of points X such that okay, here the convergence that we talk is uniform. Okay, the uniformity is missing at only few points. Collection of X such that Fn converges to F pointwise but not uniform. And if the set has a measure which is smaller than delta, and delta is of course a very small positive quantity, okay, then we say this convergence is almost uniform convergent. That is, the convergence is being uniform in most of the points. It is not being uniform at only very few points of the set. We collect those points inside some set and look for the measure of the set, and if the measure of the set is a very negligible positive quantity, then we say it is almost uniform convergent. Okay, if we have to say uniform convergent almost everywhere, then it means what? Fn converges to F on E minus some E prime or something, with M E star being 0. Okay, almost uniform convergence means Fn converges to F on E minus E prime with measure of E prime is delta, with delta some positive quantity, and this delta, of course, you guys know that delta and epsilon are very small positive quantities that we choose, right? So this is the thing. Okay, so what does our Littlewood's third principle tells us? If the convergence is taking pointwise, then it is almost uniform convergent, right? Okay. So with that only we are about to continue with our proof of the proposition. So back to the thing. By Littlewood's third principle, for given epsilon positive, there is an integer n and a measurable set A, which is a subset of E with MA smaller than epsilon upon 4m. Okay, so we must have the measure of the set A to be some smaller quantity. So we could take that to be anything that we want. Okay, it is just a notation. Fine, such that for n bigger than or equals n and x in e minus a, that is our textbook notation, that is why I am using this e minus a, we have absolute of fn of x minus f of x smaller than epsilon upon 2m. Okay, that is to measure of e, epsilon upon 2 times of measure of e, right? Now let us consider, okay, now what should we prove? The claim is to prove limit integral over e fn is integral over e f. Okay, that is to prove absolute of integral over e fn minus absolute of, sorry, integral over e to the function f. This is smaller than epsilon, a positive quantity, for some n bigger than or equals n. This is what we will have to prove. Okay, for which let us consider absolute of this requirement to be equal to absolute of integral over e fn minus f. This is due to the fact that fn and f are measurable. Okay, so by using the algebra of integrals, we just write this way, and this shall be written as fn minus f. This is again by the properties and algebra of measurable functions, and this one is smaller than what? This, okay, just a minute, actually, okay, this quantity we have, and this quantity may be written as e minus set A union A. Okay, the set E is written like this. Since these two are disjoint sets, we can have it as integral e minus a fn minus f plus integral over a fn minus f. If you have to write down the thing, if a and b are disjoint, then integral over a union b is integral over a plus integral over b for whatsoever the measurable functions that we have inside, right? So we have just disjointified this e into this, and we have made use of the property and wrote this one, right? And for the first integral, let us write like that one as integral over e minus a, and that quantity has become epsilon upon 2 times of measure of e, right? So plus Here we shall apply the triangle inequality and let us see that it happened to be integral over a absolute of fn plus integral over a absolute of f. Okay, so this is what we are gonna have, and this epsilon upon 2 times of measure of e is constant. We take it outside, so integral of this quantity is simply becomes measure of e minus a plus, here this is bounded by m, so we have m, this one, plus again this is also m multiplied with this one, so this is epsilon upon 2 measure of e, and a is some set that is removed from e, but still, like what can we say, this e minus a is a subset of e. Therefore, measure of this quantity is smaller than or equals measure of E. Therefore, we shall just replace this quantity with measure of E plus m times of measure of A plus m times of measure of A. And what is the measure of A? That we have already written, right? So, this measure of A is smaller than epsilon upon 4m, right? So this is smaller than this one gets cancelled, so we are left with epsilon upon 2 plus m times of epsilon upon 4m plus m times of epsilon upon 4m. So this is epsilon upon 2 plus 2m epsilon upon 4m. So we have epsilon upon 2 plus epsilon upon 2, which happens to be epsilon. So finally what we proved is absolute of integral over E Fn minus integral over E F. This quantity is less than epsilon, right? Now since epsilon is okay, this is happening for n bigger than or equals n. So you may ask me, how did we use this n bigger than or equals n? If you just see uh, till the last step, till this step we have not made use of that one, but this quantity is smaller than epsilon upon 2 me. Okay, this is happening for n bigger than or equals n only, right? So only for this is happening, right? And I think okay, if you need this one, this quantity, let me just write it here. Since e minus a is a subset of e, we have measure of e minus a is smaller than or equals measure of e. That is why we have just replaced, and that's it. So what we can conclude is that uh, limits integral over e fn is integral over integral over e to the function f, and this completes the proposition. Next we have a proposition. We are not actually going to prove this, we just state it and see how it happens, right? A bounded function on a closed interval is Riemann integrable if the set of points at which f is discontinuous has measure 0. Okay, so in Riemann integration we have seen that uh, if a function has finite number of discontinuities, okay, only simple discontinuity is permitted. If it has a finite number of discontinuities on AB, then f is R integrable, that is Riemann integrable. Okay, so this can happen. Now you just collect the finite set. Okay, suppose A is the set which has that finite number of discontinuities. Then measure of A is 0, since it is a finite set, right? and you just assume and prove the converse one. This is the ideology in which you will have to do. Okay, you have to be very clear with the results that is available for Riemann integration. Once you have that ideology for Riemann integration, you can just extend that to the Lebesgue integration, right? So that's it. Thank you.